So I mean, if he's shot here and the blood comes out, I mean, it would have to actually, I'm thinking, if it pools out, we can probably have a pool of blood here.
Is that too much for the cover?
Hi, I'm Jackie Jens. Welcome to Carolina Crafting. Today we're in Andrews, North Carolina with Ronda Birtha. And I met Ronda at it was a media class of working on the internet or getting your,
Right.
what class did I take? I was so sick that night.
It was a web marketing class, and it was really designed to help anyone that has a website to optimize their website so that it can be found through a search engine like Google.
Right.
Primarily through Google.
We'll put your information up about that on the screen so they can know where your website is really nice.
Thank you.
And I learned a lot, and I also found out she was a photographer. And up here in North Carolina, we mostly see scenes and beautiful flowers and mountains and hills. But Ronda does something even more special. Can you tell us about what you're doing today?
Well, actually, what we found is that in this area where we live, there is a high density of really artistic, creative writers, but they're in secret pockets, and so we're trying to find these ones and help them to get their work published, going a self-publishing route, which is very different from a vanity publishing route. Today we have with us Lauren Leith, who was one of the writers that's here in Andrews, North Carolina. She's been working on a fantastic CIA thriller, and we are actually at the culmination of what's been about a 19-year effort.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so she's already gone through with her ISBN, copyright, the other things that are needed for self-publishers today. But what we're doing today is shooting the cover. We actually had our first shoot on Wednesday. We're right now in the Andrews Valley Initiative office. Bob Ferreira, who's the executive director of AVI, we were able to shoot him, literally and figuratively,
Oh, cool.
for what's going to be the cover. This is just a draft, what we're looking at right now. And as you see, he is face down and writing MOSQ in what should be his blood. But we have some issues to work out today because from the shot, we don't see where he was shot, the head, the chest, and so there's some things we're going to work out today in order to get this closer to completion.
We see all the dust covers on books and never really think about the work that went behind it
Right.
to get those.
Right.
That's so cool. So there's other books here. I'd like to take a look at some of those too. This is something I wasn't aware of. I know there's writers. I've met some poets from the area, down the Brasstown area, but I was not aware that there were, major books being written and published. Tell me something about how this got started.
Sure. Well, some time ago, when I was working for One Dozen Who Care, we were hosting a number of writing classes. These were free to the public. And from those classes, we found a number of writers, again, just kind of lurking about. Everyone's got a manuscript in their nightstand, but few people were sharing them. So at this class, it was really nice because it really encouraged people to bring their works out, not to be shy to read them and have them peer-reviewed, respectfully, of course.
Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. And so what happened in that first class, we had Alice Blanton, who, again, she was one who'd been working on a story for a number of years, put it off to the side. The class helped her bring it out, and she decided it was time to get it done. So she was actually the first author that I helped her get her publishing company established, independent publishing company. It's called Little Bit Publishing. That is her poster. She's, in fact, right now, I think, traveling through Silva. She's very aggressive in marketing herself, which is something that people who are writing their own stories, they're not seeking traditional publishing routes, really need to be aggressive about their own marketing, because traditional publishing companies are not going to do it. And they say that.
And the marketing, even the class I took, it was so informative for marketing, and I heard you might be doing another one on more social media stuff where people can get their information out there to people. The internet's a wonderful tool.
Absolutely, and it works great in a town like this. We're a small area. We don't have a lot of traffic. There certainly
Right.
is not a lot of business, but for people that have niche interests like these, the web is really designed to help them to be found.
Tell Me No Lies, is it set here in North Carolina?
Actually, it's not. It's in Florida.
Ooh.
A bunch of it's in Florida, and some of it is in the mountains, but it's mostly in the southeast.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the sci-fi one.
Yeah.
That's interesting right there. It's not set in the mountains. That'd be way spooky.
Yeah. Although some of it does take place in the mountains.
Okay.
Not necessarily this mountain area, but we do have a bit of Montana in there. This is the work of Paul Schofield.
Did you take that photo too?
I took the photo. These are all composite, so that's a separate photo. That's actually his daughter, Rachel Schofield. This is a friend of ours, Larry Brazel. He does not really look like that.
Oh. No purple eyes?
No purple eyes. And then our nebula in the background, that's actually, we all own that. That's imagery from NASA.gov.
Ooh, cool.
Images shot with Hubble, and Lone Mountain in the background. So those are just different elements that were bound together. We put into that cover. And the publishing company, this is Galactic Publishers.
Oh, yeah.
So that's the company with myself, Paul Schofield, and Ellen Schofield. And this is the flagship publication from Galactic Publishers.
So there'll be more.
Yeah, there
Are you
will
going to
be
bring in
more.
other authors to go to publish under that label?
Well, actually, right now, what we're going to do is we have a couple of other titles that we're going to publish under Galactic Publishers. A company under that we also have, Writers Hub of the Mountains.
Ooh.
That is the writing service that we provide for people to help authors like Lauren to actually get their manuscripts out and to have them really forge their own independent path.
So if there's someone here in the mountains or anywhere around it, where would they go to link to you or get to you to find out more about self-publishing?
They can go to galacticpublishers.com or they can go to writershubofthemountains.com.
That is interesting.
Right.
I learned something really great today that I can pass on.
Please
and then
do.
we'll talk a little bit about with the author of, is it just called Mosq? Is that
Mosq.
Mosq? That's cool.
Mosq.
Yes, right. Well, maybe we'll talk a little bit with her, Celeste, then we'll see the setup of how you shot some of the cover.
Right.
That'll be so interesting.
Right.
Rhonda, I know that Lauren's here today to talk about her book. Can you do the interview for me? You'd be my guest host on Carolina Crafting.
Sure, absolutely. Lauren Leith, I know you have been working on a publication for a number of years.
Yes.
Would you like to tell us a little bit about it?
Yes, I started this book in 1992, and I've been doing a lot of research for the past 18 years and a lot of revisions. So in the past 3 years, it's been very heavy, saturated with the writing and the revisions, and this is the culmination of all of those years of researching and writing and revising. It's a CIA thriller. It takes place partly in Washington, D.C., and then the story moves to Zambia, Africa. And then it comes back to Washington, D.C.
Yeah, so today, actually what we're going to do is talk a little bit about the cover, because we shot this Wednesday, and once I got it on the computer, and going through it and looking at it, we were anticipating first having a white background, and we can still go that route, but when I saw that, I fell in love with it immediately. But the big issue that I'm having is that since the senator was shot,
Yes.
then we need to work out some more blood.
Yes, we need to have a pool of blood, and the reason we didn't do that initially is because this is an antique smoking jacket, a vintage smoking jacket that was loaned to us by someone in town. We didn't want to get blood on it. So we decided that we would put the blood in a little bit later.
And so that is what we're going to do. We're going to have a prop just lay down just to give us the shape here, and then we have our concoction of blood. And here comes our prop. And then we're going to just throw some blood down there just to make sure it's all good, and I'll take it back and mix those two images together. So I mean, if he's shot here and the blood comes out, I mean, it would have to actually, I'm thinking, if it pools out, we can probably have a pool of blood here.
Is that too much for the cover?
Well, if we can get it concentrated, it would almost work better if it was a head wound, but don't rewrite it.
Well, well, no, I didn't say where he was shot.
Okay.
I just said that it was the last sound he ever made.
Okay.
We can do a head wound.
All right, because I'm wondering if the blood was here.
Yeah.
All right, it might cover up your something here, but at least then this hand could reach up and start drawing.
I would reach right in here,
Okay.
but
All right,
if we put it here, is that going to obliterate too much the face? Wham.
I really like your work, and I noticed you have one of the self-published books entitled Rust.
Yes.
Tell us how that came about.
Well, I happen to really like rust. I like the colors that are created when you have that kind of corrosive relationship between metals and air and water. It just seems to yield colors that, you know, you just can't get otherwise. And so, and the other thing too is a lot of the things that we might find around here that are rusted, they do look like eyesores when you're just driving by them. But I see the color and I see the texture and I see how the light's hitting it, and I can picture these images with those colors more as fine art rather than an eyesore. And so I started this collection of rust back in 2007, and what I have on the back of the book, just to explain a little bit, I say far western North Carolina is home to beautiful landscapes and rolling mountains, trails and waterfalls, and of course large-hearted people. And none of that stuff is in this book. So,
I love that.
And so the things that are in here really are from images that are taken throughout Andrews, North Carolina, some in Murphy, all the way up into the Robbinsville area, Graham County, things that are covered in kudzu that just looks like they're being consumed. You know, you can imagine this old school bus, who were the children that sat there and what were the stories on there. And now the thing has taken on a life all of its own. Just absolutely amazing.
I've looked at houses that have been covered with kudzu, and I wonder, you know, who lived there, you know, what's the story, you know, and how did the kudzu get
Exactly.
so all-consuming?
There's an image, I don't have it in here, but I've been tracking this one house since 2005, and it is covered. So I was able to catch it, you know, when you can still see the house and the chimney.
Oh, cool.
And right now it's gone. A service station, a gas pump that's up there at the Mountainside Diner, you know, it's just sitting there, and really the colors are just
They are, they're
absolutely
gorgeous.
fantastic.
I'm going to look at rust a
wells.
whole new way now.
Yeah.
Because it is, the texture too.
It's just fantastic. There were two Jeeps that are up there by the, not Jeeps, but they were Ford trucks and Chevy trucks that were at the Peachtree service station, also on 141 across from the Citgo station. And they told me that the trucks were just there, they're harvesting the parts. People have asked to buy these vehicles, and the owner said, no way. Well, as it turned out, I'm so glad that I got all of the shots that I did, because those trucks are no more.
Oh,
I was
no.
devastated to drive by there not so long ago and to see, I mean, this looks like an eye.
Yeah.
That someone's just been sucker punched and
It
you know, the
does.
sockets are
Yeah.
coming out.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's, those are the things that are, I mean, that color is just fantastic. You know, it really
Look how
is.
the yellow goes into the orange.
Right, and you see how it's fading. And again, just over time, how it's chipping. I mean, that's texture that, again, you know, you can distress things and do that, but when nature does it,
Nobody can do better than Mother Nature.
yeah, I mean, that's fantastic work. So that's what I happen to like to shoot, and I will go about anywhere. In fact, I have a fellowship that I'm hoping to get. It's through the North Carolina Arts Council, And we'll hear about it in July. And the project is all about rust and kudzu.
Well,
So,
I hope you get that. That'd be so neat, because you have an eye for, rust.
yeah, there you go. So it's not the pretty things, but
Right.
it's still, it
Well,
can be made
life is
pretty.
not always pretty.
Exactly. It's honest.
That's right.
But it's not necessarily pretty. All right, so again, I don't necessarily have a specific genre. As you see, I really like rust, but I do shoot the mountain scenes and the old barns and things like that, but I always go back to you, and that was the name of the exhibit that I did 2 years ago, where I just had portraits, faces, natural, candid for the most part. You know, you just can't get the kind of relaxed expression with people when they know a camera is on them.
Right.
And so when you're off to the side, and as you see, most of these, with the exception of that one, which was a very purposefully arranged shot, most of my shots are off on an angle. Okay, no one's looking directly. Whereas this woman here
I love that one.
had a great hand in canasta and was expressing it.
Yes, she was. No
So,
poker face there.
Yeah, yeah. And so those types of expressions. This is a Dee Dee, and I apologize, I don't know her last name. She died about a year or so ago, and was a longtime resident of Andrews. Ann Woodford, who is working on a publication called All God's Children, was interviewing certain ones in the community, and we were able to do an interview with her before she passed away.
She looks like she has great stories to tell.
Oh, man, really great. Her daughter is actually still a resident here. So, and then as far as just people in their environment, the hands that are in those two pictures belong to a very talented hairdresser, Yakini Cooley. And,
Here in Andrews?
well, she's actually back in Pennsylvania now,
Okay.
but she did live here for a few years. And those subjects there were kind enough to let me shoot them. You know, they're not pretty pictures again,
No,
but I
but-
mean, the expressions, the
Right.
child, you know, she's holding his chin and he's
He's
wincing, and it's just
I'd much
a
rather
great
have a
shot.
shot like this than the one just standing there saying cheese.
All right,
Because these mean so much more.
all right, there's feeling.
Yes, there are.
I said, if you want a stand-up straight shot, go to Walmart and let them
Exactly.
pose you. If you want a shot of how you look when you're living, doing what you do, then give me a call.
Do you have any of your work in galleries or? any-
I don't, and part of the reason I am so busy doing things for everyone else, I'm a writer as well. I'm hoping to have my first novel out by the end of the year, but I've been diligently working with everyone else, whether photography, videography, websites, blogs, everything that is bundled under the new media.
I know you're teaching another class, May 17th, I believe.
Yes, I'll be teaching that class here, another web marketing class from the aspect of social networks.
It's so important now.
Yes, it
It
is.
is. It's the way we're going to get out there, and all of us, our voices are all going to be heard and taken, you know, people will be interested because we all have a lot to say,
Exactly.
a lot. And
Yes.
the more people that listen to us, the better, I think.
I agree.
Thank you so much for today. It turned out to be so much more than I ever could imagine. I've never seen a cover shoot for a book in my whole life, so that was fascinating.
Cool. Well, I'm glad you were here. Thank you for even calling me up and asking me to do this.
I liked your class, so, and I'll see you May 17th too.
Okay, great.
Thanks so much.
All right, thank you. Thank you.